Welcome to another Edgewonk journal review where we dive deep into the trading journal of one of our customers. In today's session, we'll start by analyzing why this trader is underperforming, identifying the causes of losses, and looking for patterns that might explain his results. And spoiler alert, this review has some very fascinating insights. So when we start the analysis of this journal in the Home tab, we can see that this trader has a win rate of 33%. He has entered 209 trades with a net return of minus 35.8%. So this doesn't look great, but there will be some really fascinating findings as we will see in a moment. The first thing I like to do in a new journal is I go to the chart lab and then to the trade comments, and he has trade comments for his trade entries. And what we can see right away is that he has one comment which is called not in plan, and this is a huge negative outlier. So this is quite common to see in underperforming trading journals, but the interesting thing is how big of an impact will this have on the performance. He also has a comment rules followed and late entry. So what we can do is we can go to our Home tab and we open the filters and we look at the entry filter, and we want to look at all of the trades except for the ones not in plan. So let's take all of them here and look at what happens. Now the performance has turned around completely. We have filtered out around 60 trades. Now we have 134 trades. The win rate is not much higher. It's 38% compared to 33%, but he suddenly has a net return of 47%. So we go from minus 35 to plus 47. This is a difference not only between night and day, this is a difference between winning and losing trader. Let's go to the equity graph, and we can see that it's not all great, and we have a significant drawdown period here where we go from plus 4,650 pounds to here just 1,000 pounds. So there was a major drawdown where the trader almost went back to break even. We can go to our drawdown graph, and you can see this is the drawdown here, a 34% drawdown. And currently he is in an even deeper drawdown of 38%. So it's not all great, but the difference between what we have seen in the beginning and what we are seeing here is significant. And what does this tell us? It tells us that it seems like his trading strategy at the core is performing profitably. So the system is working. That's such a big eye-opener and such a big aha moment that this should give this trader so much confidence that if he would just be able to follow his trading rules, which of course is easier said than done, he would be a profitable trader and not like currently a losing trader. So this is a huge finding, and is the most important finding that such a trader can make in his journal. Of course, we will keep digging into this trading journal a little bit further, but there's nothing more important than this realization at this point in time for this trader. He has to make sure that he's able to follow his rules better. Of course, it's not realistic to expect from the trader to follow his rules 100% on all of his trades, but if he can just improve his process slightly and take fewer trades that he knows he shouldn't be in, this will have a huge impact on his trading. So let's get rid of the filters, we clear them, and let's take a look at the setups that he's trading. And again, what stands out here is this huge major outlier, pin. And what he has here is a net loss of almost 10,000 pounds. But let's try to see what happens if we only look at the trades where he's following his rules. Suddenly, this pin setup becomes profitable and we go from minus 10,000 to plus 9,000. So again, this is a huge difference that makes the difference between winning and losing trader. This is also his most commonly traded setup. So again, this finding cannot be overstated. This trader has to realize that he is actually very close, although it might not look like that right now, he's very close to becoming a profitable trader. His system is profitable at the core, and this finding is huge for the trader. Let's move on to the risk distribution because that's also quite interesting. And here we see some major outliers on the far left. We have two trades where the trader has realized a loss of greater than minus 10%. What we can do to see how big of an impact this has on the trading performance is that we are in the Home tab, and under Basic Filters you see this return filter. And what we can do is that we only select the ones that are not this minus 10 loss. So those are the 2 trades that have a larger loss of minus 10%. And we're just going to select all of the other options here. By the way, in one of the next updates for Edgewonk, we're introducing a filter where you can do that with just a click. So we're going to have a filter where you can exclude items from a filter, not include the rest, but that's coming. And what we are seeing now is we have only filtered out 2 trades, right? We go from 209 to 207 trades. And we are now at a net return of minus 4%. So we're going from minus 35% to minus 4.5%. So those 2 large losses make the difference between almost a break-even trader. Of course, he's still slightly losing, but he's almost break-even compared to what he currently stands at is minus 35%. So those 2 trades have such a big impact on the trading performance, and that's why checking your risk distribution is very important to get aware and become aware of those issues. And keep in mind, he still has 3 trades here, 1 here, and 1 here. So he has 5 more trades that are much larger than his typical losing trade. So now I've only selected those 4 selections here. So those are the large outliers that I've talked about. Here are the 2 that are larger than 10 and the other 5 here. What we could do is go to the journal. Now we see all of those trades and you can open them up. And then here on the personal note, he said the entry pattern was good, but moved the stop to take a huge loss at the end of the week. And this is something that I've seen a few times for the trader. And this is quite common among struggling traders that they are delaying loss taking. So when the price is moving against them, they're pushing the stop loss further and further away in the hope of that the price will turn around and become a profitable trade and they will be able to avoid the loss. But what you can see is that a small loss that should have a very minimal impact on your bottom line can then easily become a big loss that can make the difference between losing, break even, or even profitable trader. We can open the second one here, and he wrote not in plan and held until the following week for a very large loss. So even if you have just very short notes in your trading journal, this will help you later in your review process significantly. As you can see, we only have a handful of trades here, but those make the difference between winning and losing trader. And what we see here in the Home tab, those 7 trades give you a net return of minus 70%. This is huge, and it's a huge finding for the trader. It means that he doesn't have to change his trading completely. There are just a few things that he needs to change, and he must change in order to completely transform his trading. And this lesson here is make sure that you have a stop loss and adhere to the stop loss. Widening the stop loss will not make you a winning trader. Widening the stop loss will destroy your trading over time. Another fascinating thing here is what I found on the holding time. And what you can see is that there's one outlier on the far bottom right. And this is the largest loss, and it's also the trade that he has held the longest. And let's open up this trade by just clicking on the dot here. And what he wrote here is have held this trade, but despite it not being in my rules. So starting with, this was a trade that he should never have been in. And he has held it much, much longer than he should. And this turned out into his largest loss. So whenever you find those outliers, that can often teach you a very important lesson. And making sure that you can fix your outliers first will have the most significant impact on your bottom line and your performance as a trader. You can learn a lot from your losses, but you can also learn a lot from your winning trades. And what we can see here on the far right in the risk distribution is that he has quite a few winners that are exceptionally large. So what we can do is the same here. We open the return, but we only want to look at, let's say, the largest 6 trades here for this trader. We go to the journal, and luckily he also has notes for his winning trades. So here he just wrote textbook trade. He said good pin in trending direction. He said pin in good area, open and resistance, 1 up day exit, well executed trade. Alright, so we don't get a lot out of the personal notes other than that he followed his rules to the T, and it seems like everything aligned here as well. What he should do is maybe leave a few more notes on those best trades so that he can find out what they have in common. Maybe also add a few more screenshots, because he will be able to learn quite a lot from his best trades. And those trades, when we go to the home tab, you can see we only have 6 trades, but they netted him a return of 67%. So there is something to study here, and I would highly recommend to spend a few more minutes on his best trades to write a little bit more details to see if there are ways how you can replicate that going forward. So what I would suggest for the trader as well is when we go to the journal and we scroll here a little bit to the right, what we can see is that for all of his trades he has entered stop loss price and take profit price, or at least for most of the trades. But when we look here at the original take profit hit column, most of them are not filled. So the only thing you have to do here is open the trade and then under advanced trade, tick the OTP hit yes or no box. And what this does is that it will unlock your trade management. Currently the trade management is not useful because it hasn't been filled out or the data has not been activated. But I would be really interested to see if there's also something for the trader to understand based on his trade management. Is he exiting his trades too early and leaving money on the table? And how does his trade management affect his trading? So it's a very easy thing to fix, or another very easy thing to activate in his Edgewonk trading journal, just to say yes or no here with this one tick box for his trades. But the insights with the trade management will be very beneficial later on. Another thing that I would really recommend is when we go to the diary and the sessions, he has created sessions fairly regularly, I would say. He stopped at one point, but I would highly recommend for the trader to pick up this routine and also leave here some notes. There are some notes on this session, but as you can see here and here and here, there are no real notes. He hasn't written anything. And it would be really interesting for the trader that by the end of the week or by the end of the month, I would recommend by the end of the week because you will have more insights that are still fresh on your mind. You go back to the sessions, you write just a few things about how the week went, what stood out, what are the mistakes that you repeated, what went well. And then over time, you can build a very nice catalog that will help you to understand how you are progressing in your trading. And you will also be able to see things that you deemed important in the past. And you can follow your progress over time to see if you're able to fix things, if the same thing keeps coming up week after week. And finding those negative patterns or those patterns in general about your trading behavior will reveal a lot about your trading, and it will help you fix the trading in the right areas. Overall, I think this is a super fascinating review. I think a lot of traders will find similar themes in their trading. And it's not all bad when we look at the data. Of course, he is in a losing streak and he has a net negative return overall. But as we've seen, his strategy is profitable at the core, and this trader should be able to fix it by improving his overall approach. And maybe he has an aha moment once he realizes where his trading is and how profitable his trading could be actually.